It's Thursday, July 11, 2019, as we welcome you to today's edition of News Review. My name is Lamin Jai. Coming up, Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia rejects claims of one of its officers stabbing to death a student. We have a report on that. Also, in our studios, we have a prominent member of the United Democratic Party, Mr. Ibrahim Adiba. We will be engaging him on a number of issues a little later. These and more, stay tuned, but I will first start with the papers, and I will begin with the point. The point is reporting that UTG student stabbed to death. Also on the point, GRTS gets state-of-the-art equipment worth $10 million. Also on the point, ex-Foria reporter gives account of his ordeal in Jammeh's era. Also, GRA to host West Central Africa Director General's confab. So let's look at some of the stories there on the point. UTG student stabbed to death. Keba Seka, a resident of Kotu in the Kanifing municipality and a student of the University of the Gambia, was reportedly stabbed to death on Tuesday night around the Palmarima Junction, the point has learned. Information reaching the point has it that Mr. Seka was reportedly stabbed to death by people who claim to be officers of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia, that's DLEAG. The deceased, a 25-year-old student, was a student of the UTG under the School of Business and Public Administration with major in banking and finance. Also on the point, the government of Qatar, through the Qatar Media Corporations, officially handed over state-of-the-art equipment worth over $200,000, equivalent to over $10 million to Gambia Radio and Television Services on Wednesday, July 10. That's 10 July 2019. The donation was handed over by Ibrahim Silla, Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure. Also on the standard, ex-Foria reporter gives account of his ordeal in Jammeh's era. Abubakar Sedikan, a journalist, yesterday testified before the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, chaired by Dr. Lavin J. Sise. Mr. Sedikan, who was one-time reporter with the Foria newspaper, told the commission that he started as a young reporter in the Foria newspaper when the climate was hostile to journalists, the media, and essentially Foria newspaper, which he said Jammeh government considered as the propaganda organ of PDIS. So I think that will be all for the point. I will now go on to look at the standard. The standard is saying Jammeh victims demand General Martin's sacking. West Coast leaders vow to curb explosive land disputes. NRP will support Barrow to achieve second term. That's Honorable Samba Jallo there, the minority leader. Alcalo fined $20,000 for illegal timber cutting. Government spokesman clarifies statement on APRC attack on journalists. The chairman of the Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations, Sheriff Kijera, has called for the immediate dismissal of General Alaji Martin and all those who admitted to have perpetrated heinous crimes. Mr. Kijera, who also accused the TRRC of disrespecting the dignity of the exhumed bodies. Mr. Martin, who is accused of committing heinous human rights violations, has admitted to torturing Sana Sabali, Lieutenant Colonel Babukar Sanyang, and supervising the torture of Sadibu Hydra, who later died in jail. As victims, we feel depressed seeing people like Alaji Martin, who admitted perpetrating heinous crimes, still serving in the system. I think it is very wrong for these people to still continue wearing our uniform and serving the same institutions that they have used to perpetrate such crimes on Gambians, he said in a standard exclusive yesterday. West Coast leaders vow to curb explosive land disputes. All chiefs and Alkalolu of West Coast region came under one roof Monday at the behest of Deputy Governor Musa Suso to discuss pertinent administrative matters in the region, among them the ever-increasing explosive land disputes. Also on the standard, the minority leader of the National Assembly, Honorable Samba Jallo, yesterday told the standard that his National Reconciliation Party, that's NRP, headed by Ahmad Bah, will be left with no option than to support President Barrow if he bids and wins the first round of the 2021 presidential election. Honorable Jallo said his party is the only one giving 100% support to the borough administration at the moment and will continue to do that in the near future. According to the Standard 2, Alcalo fined $20,000 for illegal timber cutting. The chief of Nyanija, Dauda Yok, has sentenced the Alcalo of Sinchu Ngedi Yaya Jalo for unlawful felling of trees, delivering his ruling at a fully packed district tribunal. Chief Dauda Yok said he will not condone anyone tampering with the forest, no matter their status or position. The Standard is also saying that the Indian president due here, July 30th, the president of India, Ramnath Kovind, is scheduled to visit Banjul at the end of this month, according to Indian ambassador to the Gambia, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, after an audience with President Adam Barrow on Wednesday. That will be all on the papers there. So we'll move to a story that we have. That's the Gambia Drug Law Enforcement Agency has come on the mountain public criticisms when rumors went wild that one of its operatives was involved in the murder of a student of the University of the Gambia. Keba Seka was a student of UTG School of Business and Public Administration, was reportedly stabbed to death by an individual believed to be an agent of the country's anti-drugs agency. But the DLEAG is dismissing such claims. More in this report.
The incident reportedly occurred on Wednesday at Kololi Tavern in Serekunda, and immediately after it, social media was awash with condemnations against the Gambia Drug Law Enforcement Agency on allegations that its operative was responsible for the gruesome murder. But the country's drug law enforcement body has come out strongly in an attempt to disassociate itself from the student's murder as police investigation continues.
So what we did was to try to conduct thorough internal preliminary investigation. So far, our findings have revealed that there were no sanctioned operations within the said area at the said time. We contacted all our regional commands, that is, the Carnivine Municipality, the Banjul Regional Command, and the West Coast, to ascertain whether any officers were on operations in those areas. And all that they revealed to us was that they were not on any operations there.
It has been rumored that police have already arrested the alleged narcotics officer suspected of the murder, but public relations officer of the Drugs Law Enforcement Agency clarified to the Fatu Network that this may run contrary to the police and Drugs Law Enforcement Agency's operational framework.
Also, there is rumor abound to say that the narcotic officer has been arrested in relation to this case. What we say is that usually whenever our officers are arrested and criminal charges are filed against them or are pressed against them, the police will always contact us, because as per the standard, those individuals immediately have to be interdicted, meaning suspended. And then also with a case that results to this, if the findings are clear, according to our code of conduct, our professional standard disciplinary committee recommendation is for these individuals to be dismissed. So as far as we are concerned, the police have not contacted us to say that any of our officers are involved.
Meanwhile, the gruesome murder of the UTG student has apparently angered many, especially his former mates, but the National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency is calling on public to exercise restraint as the police investigate the matter.
We call on all those who are involved or those who are affected to maintain restraint whilst the police look into the matter.
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency spokesman there, Usman Sediba. Now in the studios, I have Mr. Ibrahim Adiba. Ibrahim Adiba is a prominent member of the United Democratic Party. He was also a protocol officer, a protocol and welfare officer at the Gambian Consulate in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Mr. Adiba, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai. Baraka.
So I want to start by asking you, you were appointed in August 2017, if I am right, at the Gambian Consulate in Jeddah. Your appointment, there was a lot of, things going on at the time. This government was just, newly coming. When you were appointed to this position, there was a media organization in the country who described your appointment as perfectly timed and appropriate. What were your expectations?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My appointment in 2018, many people commented for it because they think it was the right thing to do, because my strong support and my stand against dictatorship in those days. Also, the area that they've chosen for me, Saudi Arabia, luckily I can speak both English and Arabic. And Saudi Arabia is a country, they recommend to hire someone as a staff who at least can speak both language. Among my colleagues who struggled with me, most of them didn't have that qualification at the time. That was the case.
How did you react to the news of your appointment when they said, okay, Ibrahim Liba, we have appointed you to serve as welfare officer or protocol officer at the consulate? How did you react to that?
Of course, I was excited because it's a confidence. Your country have that trust and confidence in you to serve as a diplomat to a foreign country. I welcomed the idea, and it was a really very exciting moment for me going there as a diplomat, a young diplomat for that matter, starting at a basic level as a diplomat. Went through training to go and serve my country. Of course, I was very excited.
TOR-wise, what were some of your responsibilities?
Well, protocol officer is responsible for day-to-day affairs of the embassy, and also the welfare officer was responsible for the internal matters of Gambians residents in Jeddah, students, and also the Hajj, different other things. But the day-to-day running of the embassy come through the protocol officer and to consular to the ambassador. So basically we are the main operators of the embassy.
So we know we have two embassies. One is an embassy, you have another one that is a consulate,
yes,
in Saudi Arabia. One country, two diplomatic, compounds. Can you tell us what's the difference between the consulate and the embassy?
Yes, the consulate is responsible for internal matters. For instance, Hajj, when the Hajj is coming, and OIC matters. Well, the embassy is the parent body of the embassy between the government to government. They're responsible, the embassy is responsible for that. So we, the consulate, we deal with internal issues. For instance, if Gambian is arrested, the matter will come to the consulate. A Gambian died, for instance, the matter will come to us. Gambians are coming for the Hajj, will be responsible for the paperwork, making sure we work on the smooth, transition of the Hajj, basically. So, this is the difference. But if, for instance, president is coming, the Saudi government will work with the Gambian embassy. In terms of paperwork, communique, and other issues will go to the embassy. And also, many people are credited to the Gambian embassy in Jeddah, like Oman, Lebanon, and other surrounding countries. All the embassy is responsible to deal with those countries. Actually.
And we also understand the consulate was also responsible for the welfare of Gambians in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, students' affairs, scholarships. We're the one who applies scholarship for students who are coming for overseas studies. So this is the role of the consulate. Hajj is a very important operation, as you know. Umrah, passport issues, the visas, and those all come through the consulate.
So the welfare of Gambians in Saudi Arabia, when you were there, how is it like? Are they doing well there? Because, you know, these are Arab countries and sometimes people would say a lot of things.
Well, Saudi is a great country, very friendly to Gambians, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't received any case whereby you see Gambians are maltreated by the Saudis. I mean, throughout my stay, no single case has been reported to my office. Yes. So far, so good. Students are happy. They come and receive their stipends. They're happy. Their accommodation. We don't have no complaint. I've never received a complaint in my office. Even those who are there working. I mean, Islamic Bank, the staffs there are very happy, comfortable. Saudi really was a good place that I can say for Gambian immigrants.
You talked about pilgrims, that it's the consulate that is responsible for Gambian pilgrims. But what we saw is that in 2018, that's last year, during the time of the Hajj, you know, there was an announcement that the president donated a little over $11 million to about 1,700 Gambian pilgrims. And there was a lot of talk around that. What do you know about that?
Well, that money was not being given by the president. That was from the king. King Salman is the one who donated that.
But what was said or announced here is that it's President Baden Barrow. That's what, at least what, according to GRTS, it's President Baden Barrow who donated the money to them.
No, that was not true. That money was donated by the king himself. Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and 5 other countries. I mean, that kindly so come from the king, not from the president of the Republic of the Gambia.
I think that is the first time that I'm hearing that, because it took a few days later or a day later, the government spokesperson issued a statement, and in the statement what he said is that it's an anonymous donor who in fact donated this money. But I want to know, how did the embassy or the consulate arrived at that decision of misleading Gambians to say that it is President Adam Barrow who donated this money, who gave this money to the pilgrims, when in fact it is the Saudi people?
No, in fact, I'm surprised about this, and I'm disappointed, because really that funds come from the Kingdom of the Saudi Arabia, and not all was only given to Gambia, but Guinea-Bissau and Guinea-Conakry also benefited from it. I mean, how can Gambia government come and say this is from a unanimous donor? I mean, the
because I think it was Jeffries was called to the embassy, and then they.
Well, I was there when this money was distributing among the pilgrims, but it's unfortunate if the Gambia government will come.
So you are telling me you were part of this?
Yes,
of course. You were part of these people.
Of course.
Who said that it is President Barrow who gave this money?
No, this is new to me, that this money is being given to pilgrims by president. And a friend of mine called and asked, Diba, how can the Gambian government give such amount of money? I said, no, yes. This money is not being given by the Gambian government or any other donor, but from the King Salman himself is the one who donated this money to the pilgrims. And this money is not only being given to Gambians, as I mentioned earlier, but to other countries, because they know. I mean, when people come for Hajj, they spend, by the end of the Hajj, you know, basically you go out of funds. So the Saudi government comes and look, poor country like Gambia, like Guinea-Bissau, like other countries, to support them, because it's not easy. By the time you come from Minna, Arafah, you are out of money, because you spend so much in Minna, Arafah, Mukdalif. It's not easy. So really.
You said you were disappointed, so I want to know, why would you think the embassy would do such a thing? I mean, because we understand it was Omar Jibril Salah who was this happened under his leadership there.
Well, I mean, I didn't see the comment saying this come from the Gambia government. That's why I said I'm disappointed if they will say such things like that, because they knew exactly. Really, this money is being given by the king, not by any other donor or a president or any other person, but from the King Salman. I mean, in fact, I helped some of those Hujjajs, I mean, to change this money. I mean, and then, I mean, with the chief of the protocol of Saudi Arabia. I mean, they mentioned this.
So now, talk to us about some of the achievements when you were there, some of the achievements. Can you tell us some of the tangible achievements made?
Well, that would be difficult. My colleagues are the one who can really say my achievement. But so far, so good. During my time that I served in Saudi Arabia as an officer, I was obedient, very respectful to my colleagues, and I treat others as I like myself to be treated. I work with clean heart to serve my country to the best of my ability. I come to work on time. I leave on time. I have never been reported to the foreign ministry for misbehaving, even one time. Throughout my stay in Saudi Arabia, I mean, sometimes I work extra duties, which is not part of my, my job responsibilities. But I do it because I'm Gambian. You remember, those who just come into Saudi Arabia are my aunts, my uncles, brothers and sisters. Well, like I said, I don't want to talk about...
but then you were fired. How do you explain that? You were fired for simply, you know, saying that you are loyal or criticizing the decision of President Amar Barrow when he sacked Vice President Ousainou Darboe back in March. A few hours later, when that development was announced, you reportedly issued a statement, or you spoke saying that your loyalty or your fidelity is to Ousainou Darboe, and then you don't care about the government job. Is that true?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned this, and I really don't want to talk about this, but they didn't say I've done something detrimental to Gambians, and I think I didn't violate Gambian constitution. And the letter they sent to me, to my termination letter, they mentioned in the letter that I said I hold an interview with the Freedom newspaper, which is not true. I haven't had any interview with Freedom newspaper.
Who said that?
The letter.
The letter
my termination letter from PMO.
PMO.
PMO is misleading, very misleading, and very unfair to me. I haven't held any interview with Freedom newspaper.
Did Freedom publish any story?
I don't know. I have
you?
no idea. But they said I hold an interview.
And because of that,
because of that, I said my loyalty is for Ousainou Darboe. So let me go and work with Ousainou Darboe. This is what they said. I accept it. I think I'm a Gambian. I am entitled to my opinion. You understand? So if they think that I am wrong by doing so, so they terminate me, that's left to them. And that will tell you, I mean, how clueless they could be. I mean, a civil servant.
Okay, before we get to that, before you go on interrogating the government, I want you to tell me, what did you make of the president's decision? You are a steadfast supporter of UDP. Your father, your dad was among those 3 UDP stalwarts who were fired. On the same day, Mr. Lamin Damundiba, Mr. Amadou Sane, Mr. Ousainou Darboe, they were all fired. What did you make of that decision?
I was shocked and disappointed by the president. I mean, these people are major players in this government. And according to him, as a president, he said these people played a vital role. And he mentioned this at the airport. Lamin Diba, Amadou Sane, Ousainou Darboe, I mean, they are doing very well. So what prompted that? I mean, one fine morning, he would jump and just sack them.
But what the president said is that these people were not, they were there to look out for the interests of UDP, not necessarily to toe his line, because he is telling us that he has an agenda, a development agenda that he wants everyone to work towards. But the UDP was at the same time trying to push its own interest. That is what the president said.
That's bogus. And that's fraudulent. I mean, we all know Ousainou Darboe, the type of person that he is. He is serving the country to the best of his ability. I mean, Amadou Sane, I tell you, Amadou Sane spent more time in that blueprint that they are bragging of today. Spend sleepless nights to make sure Gambian benefit out of that. Ousainou Darboe went around the world, crisscrossing, flying away from his family to make sure Gambia benefit. How can you come and just tell us that they don't have the country at heart? They're not serving. So, my brother, there's no reason. The only reason one can say is the president won. I think the president want Ousainou Darboe to come and clap for him and say, "You will be our candidate." If anybody didn't say that, then you are his enemy. I think that.
But I also think one would be very unfair to the president to say that the president or President Nana Barrow didn't love UDP. UDP was the biggest benefactor when it comes to this government. Almost all the important positions were served out to them. The president, in a recent interview, he said some of the strategic, most important positions, those are the ones he offered to UDP.
Well,
Tell me
who will doubt the role that UDP have played in this coalition, even before, prior to the coalition, the roles of United Democratic Party, jail, murder, torture, intimidation, harassment, all kind of intimidation UDP suffered.
But do you think
and also the role that we played?
But do you think that matters at all?
Let me finish.
The issue of who contributed most.
Yes, it does matter. It does matter. It does matter. If anybody ignored that, then you are not fair. I am not belittling what other people, the role that they play, very important. But if we have to compare among the political parties, some of the political parties really don't even contribute a dime in this coalition.
So it is your view that he who suffered the most should be rewarded the most?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But if they are trying to compare how much we have, but they should not forget about how much we've contributed to. If that's what you're comparing, we have this much, but how much have we been to the table? Let us be honest to each other, be fair to each other. I don't want to mention no political party's name. But some of the political parties are there by name. Even the 50,000 that they asked parties to bring as their contribution, some of them didn't even pay it. How much did the UDP contribute? So let us not go there. Let us not compare how much UDP have benefit or not, this and that and that. You can't even name 10 executive members of those political parties. Rather to say Mr. X and Y and Z have lost their life, their families.
So we'll extrapolate more on that. I just want to bring you back because when Darboe and Co were sacked, you were quoted as saying, and I quote, "Positions are not permanent things on earth. If they want, they can take the positions that they gave us. We will continue to support and stand by Ousainou Darboe come what may. Our love and support for Darboe remain unchanged. We are behind you, Darboe." This is something that was translated by, I think, Panderim Bai. What is so special about Darboe?
What is special about Darboe is I love this man because he is very honest, very sincere, very kind indeed. I know him from childhood. Whatever is in him, he will tell you. And he loved this country to the bottom of his heart.
But for
if
you,
anybody comes today,
for you, it should not be about individual because you were working for the government. Country before individual. You were working about individual. In as much as you are not, you do not agree with a decision by the government, but you should not be seen to be taking part in partisan politics because that is exactly what you did. Darboe was shot. Just a few hours later, you came out saying this.
My brother, before we get to that level, internally, we've make a lot of effort to make sure, or to make President and his cabinet to understand the role of the government. You know, he's the one who introduced the individualism into this thing. He's the one who said, my boss, my this, I do this, I do that. I'm the one who give money to these people. So now he's personalizing it. And this is the power. You know, let me tell you something. When things were going normal, nobody heard me anyway. Nobody would say, Brian Madiba is talking out there. But I've seen all of a sudden, President forget about everything. He thinks he's the one who achieved all this by himself.
But there's no crime in an individual or a person coming out to say this and this and this is what I did.
Okay, then if I also said I'm loyal to Hussein Udaba, is that a crime? My loyalty to Hussein Udaba is unquestionable, and it's true. So if he can say I do this, if I say I like this, why should that be a problem? Tell me. Then you're just trying to show your power to me, that you are more powerful than me. You can tie my tongue.
You know,
and nobody, no man is yet to born who can tie my tongue.
But you know what is strange? Because even well before, Dabo and Co were fired, some of these firings or sackings were taking place. The UDP was in government, but no one growled, nobody grumbled, nobody said anything, nobody disagreed with the president. Why is that the case, especially on the part of UDP?
My brother, I mean, not always things will come out to the public. A lot of effort will have been done, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure, I mean, things go to the right direction. I mean, there'll be no issue concerning about intimidation, president doing things that are not right.
Can you get into the specifics?
Well, I won't get into the specific because I know Hussein Udaba is a lawyer. If you are doing things that he thinks are not right, against the policy, rules and regulation, he will rectify you. Remember, this man is a draft man, he's a legal draft man. He understands the constitution so far more than 60 to 70% of Gambians. So he cannot sit down and look at you doing things which he thinks are not in interest of the Gambia. And he look at you like that, then he is not being honest to you. And if he give an advice, for instance, and you think this guy is saying this because he doesn't like me, if I give you my piece of advice, my recommendation, my suggestion, and you always turn that around and use that as something that you think I don't like you, is that right? I'm just giving the explanation.
So let me ask you this then, because your party, UDP, is the party that gave us President Adama Barrow. And all of a sudden, here is UDP feeling so disappointed in him. What really went wrong?
No, the UDP is a party with a principle, policy. We believe in principles and we believe in policies. So all of a sudden, if I become a president today, people know me as, I call Hussein Udaba my father, somebody that I trust, I have confidence in him, I want to follow his footsteps. We all know his steps are well calculated. And all of a sudden I'm doing something contrary to that. People will be disappointed. I cannot misbehave around Mr. Dabo. I give you the example. The Sahabatul Ikram to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said they follow the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if one person come and then use these automatic bombs and explode, Muslims shouldn't behave like this. So UDP, anybody who calls yourself as UDP, you should be well responsible. You should behave well. But because our leader.
But some people will tell you that the president is marching in the right direction. It is UDP that is just being paranoid over nothing. For example, there is this submission out there that UDP doesn't feel comfortable at all to have orders or to come near the president. For example, people who are APRC, UDP see these people as a threat. So they are doing everything that they can. And remember, president is the president of everyone. So he has a right to, have everyone as his as his ally or as his friend. So is this the case? Is it because of paranoia? UDP was just being paranoid and then they went about doing things that they should not have done?
My brother, we are not scared of the process of democracy. UDP is a strong believer of democracy. And we will not intimidate anybody, but we will not allow anybody to intimidate us. So for people to say that we are paranoid, how? I play my role very well. Mr. Dabo play his role very well. If any person comes to the United Democratic Party and we see you as a genuine person, we will welcome you. Why? We welcome other people. So Kusingade is here. He's an executive member of the United Democratic Party. But you should realize one thing.
I asked you this because I spoke with one of your leaders, and what he told me is that President Barrow is a changed man. They don't know him anymore because all his advisors are APRC people who you know are the people that UDP is fighting with. Those are the people that President has. So clearly, your party has a problem with that.
We don't have no problem with any individual. If we do, we'll come out and say it. Nothing will happen to me. If I have a problem with anybody, I will say it. If I see any fault in one person, I will say it. But we welcome all. Our doors are open for everybody, United Democratic Party. But you should understand and follow the rules and regulations of the party, the policy and the principle of the party. You understand? But if others want to join Barrow, Barrow has no political party anyway. If you want to support his agenda, why should we have any problem about that? Anybody can go and follow Barrow. Anybody can go and follow any political party in this country. We don't have no problem about that. But I cannot be working with you. And if I give you advice, you think that advice is a threat for you? To you? Is that fair? So really, this is not about Barrow, UDP. This is about Gambia. My brother, how can UDP be scared of anybody in this country? Look at KMC. It's under the leadership of the United Democratic Party. Look at Banjul. And they are performing very well. Go to Basse. Go to any other area council. We are performing exceptional. Excellent. Go to National Assembly. Our parliamentarians, the councillors. Why should we be bothered with individuals? UDP is not that type of a political party. During difficult days of Jammeh, UDP stood firm to make sure rule of law, intimidation and harassment stops in this country. Why should we come today after succeeding? Basically, we are the government. How can we be scared of individuals, young people?
The problems between UDP and President Adam Barrow has resulted in a shift in the demographics, in the political configuration. What we have seen, or what some people would claim, is that in fact, in terms of numbers, UDP is in a quandary, because we have seen a number of prominent, very strong UDP members, defecting to President Adam Barrow. And this started at the Congress that UDP held last year. That is where all the problems started, and we began to see a number of UDP, very strong UDP members, shifting their loyalty and their fidelity to President Barrow.
When you say very strong members of United Democratic Party, our executive is still intact. Nobody moved.
But it's not just about executive members. It's also about foot soldiers.
I'm giving you an example. Then when you talking about foot soldiers, then don't say a very strong member.
Foot soldiers can be very strong members too.
Hold on. Hadn't been our executive split half, and half of them went this way. Our executive is intact. The central committee is intact. All other organs are intact. UDP is receiving credible people. People with integrity.
And losing credible people too. People like Aji Mariam Sise, for example.
Who's Aji Mariam Sise? I don't know nobody by name Aji Mariam Sise in this country. Wallahi. And if I tell you I don't know any person in UDP, then that means that person is not, as you mentioned, as very powerful person. Me. I've been UDP at the age of 16. I've never moved out of United Democratic Party. I've been always intact.
You have lost people like Alkali Conte too.
Alkali Conte.
And Lamin Cham.
Listen, my brother.
Maimuna Sise.
You will still have some of those kind of people who will go here and come back here. That's politics. Maybe it's because of interest. I mean, one will not say Lamin Cham is not UDP.
And a very strong member at that.
Well,
but he was your youth president.
Listen,
he was another youth president of your party. Listen, very, very strong.
Anybody, be it Lamin Cham, Alkali Conte, you don't want to follow the policy and the principles of United Democratic Party. Go out. We will remain with our principles, our policies, and our belief and our strategies are still intact. And UDP is more popular today than before. And people are more sympathetic to UDP because of our strong stand against dictatorship and injustice. And we will continue fighting for democracy and rule of law in this country. And genuine Gambians are joining on a daily basis. We are going to Jarume Koto tomorrow. Come and see, our crowds is increasing on a daily basis because genuine Gambians realize UDP is a genuine party. And by the time come 2021, when we have UDP government, you will see only serious people in the system. Our track records are there. Talib Bensouda, Rohim Malik Low, Amadou Sane, Ousainou Dabo. You name them. They perform very well.
But then all these blessings that you are counting, I mean, if you talk to the Barrow camp, for example, what they will tell you, it is by the grace of God and President Adam Barrow that UDP can today beat its chest and say, okay, we have a mayor in Banjul, or we have a mayor in KMC. UDP never had that. UDP, even councillors, UDP, it was very difficult for your party to...
My brother, UDP gained momentum from 2015. We've been performing very well. But since from 2015, when Ousainou Dabo was stopped, and his entourage in Fast Njagachoy, Gambian realized, they know this is the right party. They start supporting. We made them who they are. Let them not forget about that. He was never a president before. We made him president. We chose him from nowhere and put him up and give him all kinds of opportunities. Let him not forget about that. We make him what he is today. So he should be proud and say thanks to the people who make me what I am today. Without UDP, you think Lamin Cham will be a personal assistant to the president? A salesman at a gas station? My friend, let us not go there.
Let me ask you about your opinion on the coalition, because clearly we have seen. I'm not sure.
I don't know why you're talking about this coalition. Barrow UDP.
We are not talking about Barrow UDP now. We are talking about the coalition. I'm not sure there is a coalition right now. So I want your opinion. I want you to give me your opinion about the coalition, because this is very important. This political conglomeration, this is what sought President Barrow to power. And the 7 political parties, these are all very important stakeholders.
Yes.
You know, these are the people that we entrust to manage our affairs, to at least position this newly found democracy. Mm-hmm. The coalition, what can you tell us about it? Your opinion?
Well, coalition, credible, and they give hope to Gambians. They try, and really, we commend them for that. And really, Gambians should be grateful. Our intention was to uproot a dictator. We have achieved that goal. So I have no problem against any member in coalition. I have a lot of respect for them. I mean, really, they raised our hopes very high, and they gave us victory. I'm grateful to it. Today I'm here in this country, going around the country, both land and bread, enjoying the fruit of democracy. I mean, it's a great thing. It's a good thing.
Now let's talk about the state of the nation, the sectors. For example, the security sector. What would you tell us about that?
Well, my brother, security is very important. It's a backbone of every nation. Without the security, the citizens will not be comfortable and they will not be living good in their country. We need security sector reform. We believe still there are people in the system who are not supposed to be there. By now, all these things should be rectified. It's coming to 3 years. I think leadership is very lazy in terms of security.
So you think not much is being done?
No, every day, every month, you heard of somebody killed and dumped. Somebody get tapped. Somebody shot. I mean, they should be focused on our security, but they are focusing on politicking. That's why I said when we have UDP government, we will have serious people, respectable people, people that people have trust and confidence in them. We will give them responsibility, and the leadership will be functioning very well. But you see, nothing.
But UDP was playing a key part in this government coming to 2 years. Almost 2 years UDP was part of this, and this security sector reform started when UDP was part and parcel of this.
My brother,
and not much is done. So would you say that it is UDP's also culpability is also that of UDP?
We've done our best, as you mentioned. This is coalition government. UDP is part of the coalition. It's not. This is not UDP government. Let us understand that. Hadn't been this is UDP's government, by now, Gambia will be at a different level.
So are you implying that the efforts of the UDP to go about reforming the security sector were being frustrated by the other forces?
In fact, our leader, Hussein Odabo, at the time, he was writing how to reform the entire government sector. In the middle, almost going to the end, he gets sacked.
But this may not necessarily be about writing. You can write all you want.
You come up with your ideas. You put your ideas together. Then you start implementing it. Remember, we come from a very difficult moment, the Jam era. You understand? Hadn't been, like I said, I will keep repeating this because I have trust and confidence in the United Democratic Party. To give you the example, look at this young man, Talib Ahmed Bensouda. He's moving KMC.
Now let's get back to where we are. I wouldn't want us to veer. We were talking about the security sector.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because we don't have serious leadership. Leadership is a joke. They are not focusing on the national issue. They are focused on their individuals and their pocket. These are not people that we can have trust and confidence in. My brother, these people are jokes. If they see serious people in the system, they try to fight you, frustrate you, intimidate you.
But some people would say, okay, here is Ibrahim Adiba talking. Ibrahim Adiba was, until a few months ago, part of this system.
Yes.
He didn't do anything. He didn't protest. He didn't do anything to show his disappointment and dismay at this. The fact that you have all these people in the system who are not necessarily working here, who are just there to look out for their interests. You never spoke. Now you are fired, and you are saying the leadership is a joke. Are you being personal?
No,
tell me, what is the problem?
Maybe you haven't been following me. I've been talking before Hussein Odabo gets shot and Amal Hussein. If people say that, they'll be very ungrateful and they'll be unfair to me. As a diplomat, I've been commenting about some of this issue. Recommendation in writing. If Masane Kinte is listening to me, I sent to him my recommendation, my suggestion. Even the former IG, Kinte, that's what I can do at that time as a civil servant. I cannot be out there being like any other person, very irresponsible. No. As a civil servant, I do my things in writing, communication directly. I cannot just go out there. Until when the time comes, I think that these people, it's hard to help them. That's the time we come and then say, look, let's try to change things a little bit.
So let me ask you, what do you think should be done, as a matter of urgency? What do you think should be done in terms of reforming the security sector?
My brother, when we come to the power, we have this Truth and Reconciliation, Constitutional Review, and the Jani Commission. I mean, Janneh Commission recommends something for Gambians. Almost 6 months by now, they completed their mission. And they give the report to the cabinet, basically, or to the president. We should start seeing actions. We spent almost 51 million in that commission.
But this is a very copious report.
Hold on.
And they are telling us that it may take the president up to 6 months. And I'm not sure it's 6 months yet.
My brother, there are people in the system who have gone through the commission. And you're still working with those people. Having been, I am part of this government, as like UDP government, I'll ask them to wait until when the commission is done with their assignments. And then we will look who is at fault, who is right and who is wrong. This is what I'm talking about, seriousness, focus. But they get distracted. So, I mean, this is what put us into all this mess. There's no seriousness in the system, my brother. If you try to rectify it, then you become an enemy.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Leadership. President.
Are you pinning it on President
Yes,
Barrow?
yes, he's the president of the country. He should be well responsible. Don't just play dilly-dally. If you think General Martin shouldn't be in the system, take him out of the system. If you think Mr. X and Y and Z shouldn't be in the system, what are you waiting for?
He's been doing that. He's fired the likes of Dabo. He's been sacking people.
Well, you can fire Dabo and leave people who kill our brothers and sisters still serving in the system. You think there's a seriousness? A serious leader will behave like that? Dabo, Ahmad Sane, hard-working people. Other people come and kill people and say, I'm behind you 100%, you still leave them in the system?
But you know, this is...
The like of say Omar Faye, you will leave him in the system?
It's a very strenuous exercise that has been, you know, initiated, this TRRC. And one has to go about it with utmost care, because you have to understand that you cannot preempt
I'm not talking about TRRC only.
The outcome of this investigation.
I'm not talking about TRRC only. People who embezzle our funds, they go to the bank and loot our money. They go very recklessly, irresponsibly, and go to bank account and withdraw a huge amount of money, taxpayers' money.
So corruption.
Corruption. That's what I'm talking about.
So you think that is large-scale corruption that the government or the president should deal with?
According to what I saw, what I've seen during the Janneh Commission. I mean, how can you explain this to Gambians? My brother, what I'm trying to tell you here is we need serious government. We've changed Janneh, yes, but still.
What do you make of the healthcare sector?
Healthcare is embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
Why? Why do you say that?
My brother, there is not much improvement in our healthcare system. You go to hospital, they prescribe medication for you, and then you go to the pharmacy, and the president is buying tankers while people are dying in hospital. The uniforms for soldiers and the police officers, they don't have proper uniform. They use their salary and go buy uniform. You go and spend in tear gas, tanker, and other things. You thinking about securing yourself like Janneh. If this is UDP's government, we'll put things in place. If you see every soldier on the street, you'll be impressed. A police officer will be well dressed with good uniform. Serious people, responsible people. But nothing has changed. You ask me about the security system. The police are still going to the market and buy uniform. They don't have even enough uniform for our police officers. I mean, they're still looking for leave. You cannot provide a good vehicle to transport them back and forward. But you can buy a tanker. You can go and use tear gas. You can go fight I mean, there's no seriousness. Why are you getting paranoid about this? My brother, we should be very responsible. When you look at Gambians, you should be proud enough to bounce your chest and say, well, I'm a Gambian.
So then let me come to this. Clearly, from all that you've said, you are clearly disappointed with the state of affairs.
Yes.
So I want to ask you this. Do you think by rights, President Adama Barrow should just step aside in December?
Well, that's left to him. I don't want to talk about that. He's the one who said after 3 years I will step down. They asked him, they did. So whether he stepped down or continue, well,
but
I know what 2021 will come down.
But you know, it is your party who put us in this position.
How?
Because your leader was the one who came out and said, "Oh, if anybody talks about 3 years, I am taking you to court." Usenu said that.
No.
Usenu said that. Usenu said he's here to stay for 5 years.
No.
And that got into the president's. You know,
my brother, let me say something. I mean, I want Gambians to be fair to each other. Usenu Dabo said it's his choice, either to step down after 3 years. But if anybody want to force him by force, I will be the first person to defend him.
He said he will take you to court.
No. He said I will be the first person to defend him in the courthouse. Yes. So let's make that part.
But don't you think that is what got the president to have a change of heart?
What is wrong with Usenu Dabo saying a short thing?
Because clearly, the UDP, where he's clear.
According to our constitution.
Yes.
See, we should blame the people who think they know the constitution while they know nothing about the constitution. Who put us into all this mess? If there's a problem in this country, any person lose his life, the people who went together, the Halifa Salahs, the other people who think they know the constitution, and they put us into all this mess, they are responsible. They should know. The president should serve 5 years according to the constitution. If you don't know about that, then I'm embarrassed. Let us forget about Usenu Dabo. Usenu Dabo didn't do anything. The people who put the 3 years together should know better. If there's any problem in this country, they are the cause of the problem. And let me tell you that.
So it is your view that it is entirely, the decision is entirely the president's, whether to step down
yes.
After this December or not?
Yes, and I'm not part of this. Whether Gambians come out on the street, the is not going. When Gambians don't come about, the is not going because man bokumachi.
Then what's your position then?
I don't care. If Gambian think what he said, they should hold him responsible, let them go out. If Gambian also think it's okay for him to serve 5 years, let it be.
But from the look of things, it's okay with you for him
to
be
me,
there
I'm ready for him anywhere, 2021, 2019, yep, Ben Asiman. Because I know he will come down by 2021 here. Because people don't have no trust and confidence in leadership.
But you have to understand that this is not going to be an easy task to just get him out of power, because here is someone who is also laying the ground. But there are organizations that have been established in this country, and these organizations are doing the necessary groundwork for this man.
I'm not talking about 3 years. I'm talking about when 2021 election.
Exactly, comes. That's what I'm saying. No, that is the Borough Fans Club. That is up and running. That is the President Borough Youth for National Development, a very strong, organization. They have all the resources at their disposal. So this is, and from the look of things, you can see that. I mean, there's a lot of people who are now, developing this, taste for President Barrow. So it is not going to be an easy ride, as some people in some quarters might want to believe.
My brother, today in this country is UDP who have momentum in this country.
People would say, some people would dismiss this.
Well, that's okay.
Because UDP has been winning because of this simple majority system that we have.
My brother, come 2021, inshallah, the effort that I've been seeing, the organization, the courage that people have in the United Democratic Party, I think first round UDP will come 51 plus in this country, because it's a party that people have trust and confidence in. Wallahi, sometimes I am in tears when I see people jubilating, welcoming the party and the party leader. You can see excitement from people. You can see seriousness in people. Yesterday somebody called me